Hey everyone, I'm Lou Perez, your host of the Builder Upper Show, a podcast where we talk about everything in construction and trades. Now let's get into it. I would like to welcome our guest, Chris Estrada, CEO of Team Extreme. Hey Chris, how you doing today?
What's going on? How are you doing? Hey, thank you for having me on today. It's a pleasure and an honor to be on your show and share my experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. So where are you plugging in from today? Where are you based out of?
So we're in Phoenix, Arizona. I currently own and operate a few companies, but I'm have a background in commercial drywall and painting, and so our biggest company is Extreme Drywall Concepts.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate the background on that. And I appreciate you coming on the show. And, you know, I had an introduction to you from two other people saying, hey, you got to have Chris on the podcast. He's a great guy. So just to get started, Chris, if you don't mind, just giving us a background of when you got into construction.
Yeah, so I've been in construction a very long time. I'll be 46 this year. I just started wearing some glasses.
Don't you love when that happens? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting a little older. I've been in construction like for a very long time. I actually I didn't go to high school, so I had I was kind of growing up, and I was a pretty good builder as a kid. So I started building bird cages and stuff like that with my stepdad. He adopted me. Well, not legally, but he adopted me. And so I would build with him. And then it led into building like an addition on our house. And I just loved to build. And then, so I didn't go to high school. And at one point I was charged, and it was either go to juvenile prison or go to Phoenix Job Corps, which is a federal trade school. And luckily the judge was like, hey, you go to this trade school for 1 year and graduate, and we'll kind of leave you alone. You won't have to go to jail. And so I did it, and I took carpentry because I was already getting pretty good with my hands, and I was really good there. And so I did it for a year, and then when I got out, I got into the drywall industry, commercial drywall, metal stud framing. So I was 17. I tried before that because I didn't go to school. I was like I worked at a little cabinet shop, and I had a fake ID. I was working at a cabinet shop when I was 15, and they found out my real age, and they fired me. And then I worked like doing like stucco patches, and just because I didn't go to school, right? And so once I got into the drywall industry at 17, it's I got really good at it really fast. So I started at that young of age, and it'll be like so that was like 1998. So it's like 28 years or whatever, a long time that I've been in the industry, that I've been building and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Did you ever imagine that now you're at that CEO level? Was entrepreneurship always a part of you, or it just turned into that?
I think I've always been a leader. When I was younger, I was a knucklehead. I did drugs, a lot of drugs, partied. I was just not. I didn't grow up good, and but I was still a leader. I still wanted more. I was still learning really fast, and as I got into the drywall, commercial drywall industry, I knew that I was good, and then I became better than everyone really fast, and so I knew eventually it was going to happen. Now. What I didn't know is how hard it would be, right? Because, I'd look at my bosses or whoever and be like, oh, they can do it, I can do it. Just like everyone looks at me and says the same thing. And so I didn't know how hard it would be, but as I got better and better and better, about year 9, I think, of being in the industry, maybe year 8 or 9, I knew I was going to do something. And then when I met my current wife, my wife, I knew I had the right partner to do it.
That's awesome. So as far as like, perfecting your craft, was it something that you've always been passionate about when you started? Like what about the craft that gets you so excited and going?
Yeah, and this can be used for anything, but it's just, for me, like, say, what, I remember walking on a commercial job site for the first time, and I seen all the metal studs. And back then it was, today they're all galvanized, like silver looking. Back then there were some silver and then they were red. They used to paint the galvanizing. Now they're dipped. The coil comes dipped already ready. And so I remember seeing all these studs standing up, and they weren't wood. And I was already good with wood as a kid. I could build a house, I could build anything. But when I seen the metal, I was like, oh my gosh, I like fell in love with them instantly, right? And so, and I knew like I liked what I seen and I liked the process, but I knew in order to get better, I had to do something to get better, right? Because there's a lot of competition. And so what I started doing is I started getting books and looking up architecture, and so I was getting these architecture books, and they would have details in them. I'd go to the library. Granted, I was on drugs doing this, and I'd go to the library and get these architecture books and look at like framing details and stuff, and then I would draw them. I started drawing them. It's a pretty good drawer, and I would draw details, and so it helped me to like understand how something was being built. Then I would go and drive, and I would look at a building, and then like go home and draw the building in 3D, but like metal stud framed. So I knew to get better at my craft, I had to get better everywhere, and more like not necessarily the work, like with your hands. You're going to get good with your hands, but it's more the brain. How can I use my brain to get better? And that's what I was doing, is I was challenging different things so I could learn how to read blueprints faster. So I was drawing them so I could understand them even better. Right. And then I could be on the job site and draw details, so that's kind of, it's just learning, growing, learning. And then, if you can ask someone, I asked a lot of people, what they were doing, why they would do it. My peers at that time is the industry was much different. It was hardcore. It was good. But yeah, I just wanted to learn and grow, and I challenged myself,
With where construction is today, like, do you see, I guess, where are you at today with your company and what you're doing? And, not to ask too deep of a question, but where do you see construction going?
Yeah. So today, I mean, we operate over 100 employees. We've averaged, over 8 figures the last 6 years, probably. Construction, for us, it's getting better with, in the construction space, and there's tech coming in. It's slow. It's been here for a minute, but it's starting to become popular, right? AI is popular. Everyone wants to build something and wants to do something now. So the tech is here. I don't think it's that advanced yet. I think we're getting there, right? And with guys like you, that's going to help get there, and possibly me. And for the industry, I think, like there's always something that has to be built. Now who's going to build it and what's going to build it is the question, right? But you could be a part of that too, in the industry. But there's always going to be something that's got to be built. It's got we're always going to need a building, a house, a structure, something, you know what I mean? And so someone or something has to build it, and you want to get behind that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I feel like there's always a better way to do things. It's never going to end. I mean, that's why innovation is here. And that's why there's people like you and me where we want to be part of that change. And has there ever been any like tough projects that you've worked on where, you'll never forget that project? Or was there anything that just comes top of mind where you're like, wow, that project was a big one or a tough one that, you made it through it, but it was a good learning for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's all like relevant to the time in our company, right? And so I remember when I started, I couldn't get my license. I have a felony, right? Now I since got it kind of recouped. It's called set aside here in Arizona. It's kind of like an expungement. But at the time, I couldn't get my license, my contractor license, And I remember getting the first job, and it was the most important job. It was the hardest job. You know, it's so we're gonna, as a company, you're gonna come across these periods of time where it's always gonna be the hardest. And if you don't, then you're not trying, you're not doing it right. And so we've come across these times where, I remember we did like the first year, we got this apartment job, and it was 32 units and drywall only. And the contractor got fired, the general contractor. And I'm in the middle of this lawsuit, right? I'm just starting. No one's getting paid. The contractor basically scammed the owner and was like overcharging for all the scopes and stuff like that. And so he got caught and wasn't when they did an audit, there were, these items weren't finished, right? And so I'm in the middle of this lawsuit, just getting going. We're not getting paid. We owe the guys, because I have no money. We owe the vendors, right? And so I'm getting yelled at by everybody. Like, everybody wants to sue me, and I'm like, hey guys, just relax. Like, this is not my fault for sure, and let me work through this. That was a hard one, but like we're real heavy in our faith, and I was just like believing, like, all right, God, like you brought me here, And so I remember during the lawsuit, the owners came to me and said, Chris, you're the only one that didn't cook your books. I'm saying it, I'm paraphrasing it. And you can finish the job with the new contractors, but I'm not giving you the money back that was pulled from your scope. And I'm like, what? And so I have guys I owe here, I have vendors I owe here. And if I screw this up, the vendors, like, I'm done at the beginning of my career, right? And so I had to make a quick decision, and they're like, I need a decision. And it back then it was a lot of money. I think the whole contract was say like $100,000 or something, whatever. And it was like $10,000. And they're like, he took part of your scope, and that money's gone. If you want to finish and not be part of this lawsuit, that money's gone, and you still got to finish the scope. And I'm like, oh my God. So that was like hard. And so I had to make the decision. I said, all right, I'm going to finish, because one, I'm a man of my word. And two is I knew, like, I had to finish, like I didn't do nothing wrong, and I'd be protected. And so as soon as I said I had to finish, I remember I went back to the vendor, and I'm like, hey, I got the money. You're going to get paid in a week or whatever it was. And they're like, F you, Chris. And I'm just looking at them like, are you guys kidding me? Like, I didn't do anything wrong with you guys. I'm a startup. I've been in the industry. I've known you guys for 10 years already. And they're like, F you. And I remember, like, I was praying and stuff, and my wife, and I walked into another vendor, and I was like, listen, this happened. And the guy was like, I mean, it was God sent, and I'm still friends with the gentleman. He goes, Chris, let us go look at it, and I think I can help you. And so he walks the site, and by this time, months have passed. All the drywall mud was molded. The drywall was damaged. It was a mess, right? And he goes in, walks it. He gets like the manufacturers of the brands of the materials, and they come and walk it, and they switch everything out for me. They put it exactly where it needs to be, right? And so I literally had all the material redone and organized, a refresh basically for free. And then he's like, hey, we're going to give you credit, to finish this job. And we're going to help you build your company with credit, with the line of credit. And so he's like, don't screw me. I go, I would never screw you. That my job's not here to screw. Like, I lived a bad life prior. Like, I made some mistakes, but I'm not a bad dude. And so that saved us, but that was a really hard time, because like it's something that was out of my control. Right. But we've had some big jobs, every time we got a big job, it was like the first time we got a $150,000 job. That was a big one. The first time we got $1 million job, that was a hard one. Right. The first time we did a $3 million job, it was hard, and it's scary because it's something unknown. The work is easy. Anybody can do the work. It's the rest of the stuff. It's the paperwork. It's the logistics, it's the lines of credit. It's the manpower, and so each time we made a step in growing our company, it was scary.
I was gonna say, wow. I mean, first of all, thank you for sharing like a real story. Like that is a real story, and to go from where you were to where you're at today sounds like a dramatic difference. And then I'm just taking this guess. You found faith along the way.
No. So, I'll tell you quick stories. Like, I grew up without a dad. My mom was a drug addict. She gave me up at 7 to my stepdad that raised me. He kind of kidnapped me to save me, but I was involved. My whole family was drugs and everything, and so and I did heavy drugs from 13 to 23. And then when I started making changes at 25, I was watching TV, and I gave myself to God, found my faith, watching Joel Osteen. So it was like a prior setting before everything was about to happen. There was like this, like, I'm a believer, like, God will only give you what you can handle. So we have to show them what we can handle. And at that moment in my life, when I became saved, is I was ready to handle more. And what he had in store for me was greater than a lot of people could imagine. And so I found my faith way before that, but definitely got closer to God, because when you're getting whacked, like, you need something, you know what I mean? Like, and it's part of entrepreneurship. Like, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, you're going to get whacked, you know what I mean? And so it's like, for us, for my wife, myself, my family, we stand on our faith for sure.
Oh, I love that. Definitely saved through suffering, and I could tell he prepared your heart for where you're at today. And I can definitely see, how you're handling the big stuff today. You definitely do it in probably a way different way than what you would do from before. Making the change from going to like $150,000 job to $3 million. Were you prepared to bid that correctly? You know what I mean? Like, how did that look? Did you, have you been battle tested enough where you can be pretty accurate in making sure that, you guys are going to be making some money and you weren't going to be losing out?
Yeah, making those changes and like the bid process it's scary, right? Because one is, if you make a mistake, that's it. You're whacked. You're done. Then you hire estimators and they can make a mistake, right?
Yeah.
I remember we would bid. We were getting up to like $500,000 jobs on bidding and stuff, and we're doing 150 jobs here. These are commercial jobs, not little residential jobs. We're doing a lot of jobs. You got to have a foreman on each one, all this stuff, and so we were starting to plug away, and I started, I was like, I want to do bigger jobs, because I felt like myself, I was better with a bigger job. And I knew that the amount it took to do 10 jobs, I could do one job. And then how we have a saying is, how you do anything is how you do everything. And so every job, every project we set up, they're all the same. Right. And so it became to where, like, okay, it's the same setup for $1 million job as it is for $1,000 job. Same exact paperwork, same everything. Then I realized, like, okay, if I can have, a foreman and 10 guys, they can do, say a $500,000 job versus the same foreman and 2 guys do a $50,000 job. I'm going to choose the $500,000 job. Right. Now it's scary because as you get, into these bigger bids, there's more logistics involved. Right. And so, there's, getting in and out of the project, there's storage, there's safety, there's, all the paperwork, whether it's on tablet, it should be on tablet today. All the paperwork that's involved in it, the meetings, and, so all those logistics really matter as you start growing. But those are scary times too, changing, what we're looking at, bidding that first big job and landing the first big job. And then, we're wrapping up a data center right now that's like $4.5 million. I hope we can do bigger projects that are more profitable. I don't know. But I'm not afraid. I just bid one yesterday, like $12 million.
Wow.
We haven't landed anything like that. And if we land something, like I said, I'm a believer of God's going to only give us what we can handle. as long as we do what we're supposed to do and double check, triple check, keep everything in line, it'll fall in place.
Oh man, I like that your mindset on all of this it sounds like it's just right where it needs to be. I was like curious while you were speaking, going from, small jobs to like bigger jobs. How do you transition as a CEO from, getting your hands dirty in the field to putting on that white collar shirt and getting ready to get in the office and get to work on the paperwork? So do you make that transition today? Where do you feel like you spend most of your time these days?
So these days look different, like today looks different than it did 8 months ago.
Right.
But one thing I learned early on. So the first, I became a foreman at 20. And from there I was always telling people what to do in the industry. And so it's a matter of how good did I want to get, right? And so the transition and I tell people, like, you got to be able to go from, walking to sprinting back to running a marathon. You got to be able to do change the pace of what you're doing. Now I don't get dirty too much these days, right? I have superintendents, foremans, a lot of different people, PMs, estimators. But I am involved, right? And so that's my dirtiness, right? But so I'm very involved every day. But these days, I'm kind of trying different things now, entrepreneurial wise. I've started a couple other companies. I waited 17 years to get into other things, right? And so it's some people want to get into like 30,000 businesses right up front, but I literally was in the same business for 17 years before I started branching off into other businesses. And so now we have the Extreme Print Lab is where we're doing like screen printing, embroidery, DTF stuff, and we're going after construction companies and corporations. We have Extreme PPE, where we have a line of safety wear, gloves, glasses, vests, hard hats, all branded Extreme PPE. So I'm trying to integrate within the industry. And so we're looking at some tech stuff, which you and I talked about. That's what we look like today. It's, still operating the company. And again, I think like I'm in a new season of my life. It looks different. Everyone who's looking at me is like, this looks different than what we're used to on Chris, obviously I'm wearing glasses now. And so I look like, it's funny. So I'll tell you something is like, I grew up in the hood, like kind of bad, and I'm still kind of ghetto. And but I can, like you said, I can put on the collar and walk in any meeting and school anybody in the meeting. But so it's funny because all these guys, the tech guys that were nerds when they were kids, they're trying to take off their glasses, right? And I'm literally trying to put them on. And so it's a different mindset for me. You know what I mean? Like, I've already done all that. Like, I've partied, I've went out with different women, and I, the stupid stuff, right? I thought I was cool. And now it's like, I just want to take care of my family and build a legacy for my children's children. That's where I'm at.
It's definitely, you see more value when you're talking to somebody that has jumped into tech or something like that, that's aligned with the industry, that came from the industry, like as that experience. So I'm with you on that. I really like that you mentioned that. I liked how you positioned it too. They're trying to take their glasses off and you're putting yours on. That was really funny. And would you consider yourself a mentor?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I actually like charge people to mentor them sometimes, not mentor, but consult and stuff like that. But I help teach a lot of people, especially if they're around me. I tell everybody, like, I'm not the brightest dude. Like, there's harder workers. I don't know if there's harder workers, probably not, but there's probably smarter workers that make more money. but I tell everyone like that's around me in my circle or that comes around us and stuff like that. Like if you hang around me and you work for us, if you come to the office more, you will learn a lot. Just get around me and ask me 1 or 2 questions every day because I all I do is learn, and I have a wealth of knowledge, especially in the construction industry. And I watch a lot of podcasts. I listen to ebooks. I'm just constantly learning stuff. So I definitely help mentor people, guide them if I can. Not everybody, but I definitely think, yeah, I play a good role at that.
That's great. How do you feel like technology has helped improve your processes, businesses, just in general?
Like taking advantage of technology is it's a game changer. I remember like when COVID came, is the time I made a decision to I think it was 2021, beginning of 2021, probably 2020. I started looking at different things, and 2021 is the time I made the decision to put our foremen, our supers, in iPads. Um, and so like bringing in the tech, it helped immensely because the communication from field to office really started to get better, right? Before you had to wait on, and some people still do this, carbon copy paper, and it takes a week to get there. The guys lose it. They left it at the job site. There's water on it, whatever the hell, their dog ate it. And so tech helps that communication happen in seconds, right? And, it helps with, payroll, with, any kind of project management stuff, CRM stuff, whatever you're involved in. But the tech you got to integrate tech into your business. Not every business needs a ton of tech, but every business needs some kind of tech. Yeah. For sure. Even if it's the minimal stuff, like some of these people I run across in my industry, it's like, oh my God, you're like a dinosaur, bro. Like settle down. I mean, I know you're old, but you just buy a freaking software and you get some other dude to run it.
Something, just at least get it going better.
Yeah, something, bro. Come on, like get rid of the paper time cards.
Oh yeah, that you'd be surprised. It's
still a big thing. It's crazy.
It is still. It's still a
thing. Oh my God, like it's crazy. I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
Yeah, you and me both. I'm personally trying to change that. So yeah, please.
You are. You are changing it, and that's why I do that little plug out. Like you are changing it with the tech you got coming.
Would you say? Do you know anything now that you wish you knew when you started?
I mean, I know a lot now.
Everything.
Not everything, but I know a lot now. Like, I don't know because like most men are arrogant and selfish, and I am as well. Now I'm also a giver, hard worker, all that stuff, but I am arrogant and selfish. And most guys are that way. I don't know. We're wired up because we're warriors, and so you got to be excuse my language, like a badass. That's how we're wired. God made us that way. So part of that is like I'm a badass. Like it's all about me, right? And so I think like what I know now, I don't think I would change anything because it's allowed us to get to where we are, and I think sometimes when you're too good for your own good, it becomes a detriment. I fired so many guys throughout the last 20 something years that had really good talent and they just can't get past themselves. And so you can I can work and get past my deficiencies of being arrogant or whatever, selfish, because I know how to move around and utilize my skill sets properly these days. You know what I mean? And so I mean, it's a different time too. When I started, man, the tech wasn't here. It's just the industry was different. The guys today they don't work as hard. So it's a different time. So I don't know that I wish I knew something different. I went through, I've been in divorce, bankruptcy, early 20s, the drugs and stuff. And so I think all that shaped me to who I am now. I'm not perfect. I'm kind of screwed up, 5150. And, but it's helped me become who I am. And, so if I die and I changed one person, two people, whatever, like I did my job. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's really what it is.
If anybody were to just want to reach out to you for more information or just anything about your company, how they get in touch with you, how do they reach out to you and talk to you?
Yeah. So me personally, so you could, I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram. I don't go on TikTok too much, but LinkedIn or Instagram, official Chris Estrada. So spelled normally, official Chris Estrada, or maybe it's Chris Estrada on LinkedIn. There's
Okay.
a couple of Chris Estradas. There's like a pastor Chris Estrada, a comedy Chris Estrada, but they can find me there, or Extreme Drywall Concepts. We have, like it said, the Extreme Print Lab. So they can find me any one of those. You know, yeah, and like you know, I help consult with different companies in the commercial construction space.
Yeah.
I can't help home services because I don't want to deal with the homeowner, so I'm not going to tell you how to deal with them. But I can tell you how to deal with a business person.
It's a
So
different animal.
it's all different, bro. And I like to keep it professional, safe, clean, all that stuff.
Love that. Love that. So, before we wrap up, I want to ask you one more question. If you had any advice for somebody that was considering getting into the construction industry, what would that be?
So like I would say like don't just chase it because you see it's glitz and glam and there's money involved, especially in the services industry. You see companies being sold for 100 million. It's hard building a business. Know that you're going to go the long route, right? It's sometimes people get lucky. Yeah. Most of the time it doesn't happen. If you're a good salesman, it could probably happen faster. If you're not a good salesman, it's going to happen slower. So when you're getting in, you got to be ready to learn. You got to be ready to go through the fire. Um, it's not pretty. You're going to get beat up. You're going to get battered. You know, you're going to put strain on your marriage. You're going to put strain on being a dad. These are true things. These are things that's happened with me. Um, will you love it? Possibly. Will you hate it? Most likely. But you know, if you get good at it, it can be a blessing to you, right? You know, we've been blessed, man. We have a few houses, a couple buildings. You know, I've helped a lot of people. I've made like 40 or 50 foremen, made like 20 superintendents. 5 business owners came out of our company, started drywall
Wow.
companies. You know, it's a blessing to be a part of those things, to see a guy get his first house or buy his first new truck, or you know, those are super cool things. But you got to be ready to grind. You know, like I always tell people, like you know, I at the very minimum I work a half part time. You know, and for me, my part time is half day, and a half day for me is 12 hours. And so at the very least, I'm working 12 hours a day, very least, every day.
I've never heard anybody put it that way before. That's a
Yeah.
different way to put it. That's
Yeah, because they're like, I want to
yeah.
work half a day, and everyone thinks it's 4 hours. So for me, it's 12 hours, 24 hours in a day, right? So I average 12 hours. I work usually about 16 hours. I'm doing different things now, you know, like we said. But 12 hours is an average, you know. And in our church, we work in our church as well, so I count those hours as well. Um, but yeah, 12 hours, man. If you can't put in 12 hours a day, just get out of it. Just go work for somebody. Plain and
Which church
simple. Don't. Good.
which church do you go to?
So we run our church. My wife is the pastor. She took over from her parents. It's called the Movement Church here in Phoenix, Arizona. And we're actually out of a theater, AMC Arrowhead. You know, so we rent the actual theater, the seating. We set up every Sunday, and she rocks it. She's getting really good. She's really pretty. She's way pretty, too pretty for me. Um, and I was blessed with her. But yeah, so it's called the Movement Church, and you know, we rebranded that. And so it's super cool because we got a lot of young adults. We teach them about entrepreneurship. We teach them about God, what God wants for you. You know, and so it's just good stuff, man. You know, that's where we're at.
You
But can I
do
ask you a
a
question? Hey,
you
can I
do
ask
a
you a question?
yeah.
I do a lot. Yeah. So like, what your tech? You haven't even got into your tech, man. Like, let's talk a little bit about it.
Of
Um,
course.
so like, how can I utilize it more in my company?
Oh man, you're gonna get me going here. So Lumber is a workforce management platform built for contractors. And the biggest piece and focus when we started was creating a field. I won't even say field centric, field friendly application that the workers actually want to use and don't mind opening and grumble about it. So using the application to gather the data so that it flows into the admin side, the office person side, so that they can actually do payroll simpler, especially if they're dealing with compliance and projects that include prevailing wage, certified payroll reporting, anything where they need that job costing. You could almost say it's like payroll to accounting, where you're having the cost codes and the job costing flow the way that it should flow in a construction specific way, having project-based software that nobody else understands unless you're from the industry and you get it, that it makes sense to contractors. That is what we developed. And in the day and age of AI, we acquired an AI team before ChatGPT even launched, so that we could overlay AI over all the modules to make it the smartest software ever invented and help automate compliance so that it's a lot simpler and easier for that back office person, and they're not going to get in trouble when they get audited. So, you as a contractor know audits come and they're not fun to deal with. So, we're really trying to actually help and serve and assist the contractors, the workers, and the back office folks and the owners in general, just so that they can move their business forward.
This is crucial. Like, if you guys are watching this and you're a young entrepreneur, young contractor, or just getting ready to go in and thinking about it, what Lou is saying is essential. You need to get the proper software, and their software is legit. Like, you cannot do payroll without a payroll software. Like, you need a CRM if you want to be efficient and effective. And not only that, is like, we're not in a dinosaur age. Like, today, you go on a job site and you have tech behind you. The GC, the owners, they look at you like you're a professional. So you got your guys in tablets, you got their tech, the lumber tech, and you're running and gunning. And so if you're going to start a job, you got to get with Lou and you got to get on board, plain and simple.
You're the first guest that has ever asked me a question. So I appreciate that.
I've done a lot of podcasts. I have 2 podcast rooms. So this is super cool. Yeah, but like, it's cool, man. Like, I appreciate you allowing me to come on your space and talk. And that tech's ultra important. Learning is ultra important for me and my house. God first is ultra important. And for you guys watching, like, challenge yourselves. The more you learn, the more you grow. Like I said, God will give you what you can handle. It's no different than your kid. You don't trust your kid until you know they can handle something more, and then you give them more. And so it's up to us to learn and grow and show we can handle more.
Love that. Thank you, Chris, for being a guest on our show. And please, everyone, like, subscribe, comment, and share the Builder Upper Show with everyone in the construction industry. And we will see you next time. Thank you, Chris.
Be blessed.
If you're a construction contractor and would like to appear as a guest on our podcast, write us an email. It's lou@lumberfi.com.